Hi, this is JP Morgan, and today on the Slanted, I've got with me here Reagan Savannah.
Hi.
We're going to talk about umbrellas. People have forgotten about umbrellas. They don't use umbrellas, and they're a gorgeous way to light. So let's take a look at umbrellas. Let's see how to use them, how to set them up, and the different quality of light in the different types of umbrellas. And so my question for Reagan is, what's your favorite umbrella?
My favorite umbrella? Probably the one you just threw down.
There you go. We'll start with that one. Let's talk about the pros and cons of umbrellas. Number one pro for me is that they are absolutely beautiful. If you shoot a light through an umbrella, it gives you a gorgeous, soft light, especially a large umbrella. So I think they have a beautiful quality of light and one you should consider when you're lighting and doing portraits. It's a great look. One that's kind of been lost lately. People don't use umbrellas as much as they used to, but it does have a gorgeous look. So that's number one. But number two is...
they're cheap.
They're just cheap. If you got to modify 3 or 4 lights on set, like you got to have a couple lights on a background, you got to have a light bounce into a ceiling, you got to do several things in the same setup, it's inexpensive to get several umbrellas to be able to make that happen. So you don't have to spend a ton of money. So that is one of the reasons. It's a great entry point for people who are just getting started in lighting to get some umbrellas, learn how to control them, and use them because they're just so cheap. Number 3 is you don't have to buy another piece of equipment like that. Part of being cheap. You don't need a speed ring. You can just simply put them in. About every light has a place for an umbrella. So you can put them on your light, your strobe, your hot light, and you can go to town and you can start to shoot. So you don't need that extra piece of equipment. And number 4?
They're small.
They're small. You roll them up, you put them in a bag. It's easy to carry them around. It's just really easy to carry them around with you. So what are the cons for umbrellas? Well, the number one is they throw light everywhere. It's hard to control the light. It just bounces and goes everywhere. So you have to know how to use them, and you can use them correctly to give you a beautiful light, but you have to know how to control it in a way that's not going to just light your entire set. So that's number one.
And you can't put a grid on it.
That's right. And it's part of that same problem, not being able to control them. You can't put a grid on it. You put a grid on a softbox and narrow that angle of coverage even more. But with an umbrella, it's very difficult to narrow the angle of coverage at all. So it's just a difficult light to modify, which is the last one. You got to put up flags to be able to cut it off to make things work with it. But I'm going to show you a way to use it that really does work and gives you a great, soft, beautiful light and controls the light on set. Before we get to our portrait, and I do want to set up a portrait so you can see how beautiful you can make this light look using an umbrella, shoot through umbrella especially. But before we get to that, I want to look at the different sizes, silver versus shoot through versus bounce, and just look at that quality of light on Reagan's face and compare each one of those by size and by type. So let's take a look at those comparisons. Let's get to that. Before we shoot our first test, it's really important to understand how to set an umbrella up. Most people throw the umbrella up and they just walk away. They don't think about this area of coverage right here, which is so critical to how this is going to function. This head is so close to the umbrella that it's lighting this small area in the middle, which is making the source very hard. It's just using this small part of the umbrella. If I pull this out, I allow this to open up and to fill all of that umbrella area, it's going to get softer. It's going to become a softer light. And it's going to really utilize the entire umbrella when I do that. So, but if I go too far, and I'm already at that point, it starts to spill outside of the umbrella. And now it becomes inefficient because I'm losing a lot of my light into the room. And it also creates a secondary bounce in the room, which you don't want. So I want to find that point where I keep it contained inside the umbrella. I'm using the entire umbrella. It gives you that softer look. Or if you really want a hard look, then punch this thing in tight and it's going to give you a much harder look. So our first umbrella is a 30-inch white interior. Should give us a pretty soft light, but a little directional because of that white interior. So here we go. So there's the 30-inch silver interior. That silver interior is much more directional. We've gained an entire stop, but look at the background compared to the 30-inch white. 30-inch white throws so much light that it lights that gray background, but the 30-inch silver is really just lighting her and it falls off. It doesn't really light that background. Much more directional. So there's the 40-inch satin interior. It's already starting to transition a little nicer between the highlight to the shadow side. And that's how you can tell if the light is soft or hard, and that's how that transition goes. It's a quick transition, really light, really dark, that's going to be a very hard light. But if it's a softer transition, it's going to be a softer light. As this gets larger, it's going to transition much softer, and it is. It's starting to transition already. So there's the 40-inch silver interior. Did exactly what that 30-inch did, and that is that we gained a stop with the silver interior, and that stop, it's more directional, and we really lost the light on the background. So we're seeing a more directional light. The transition from highlight to shadow is much quicker, but that softer light, the 40-inch satin, we're getting a softer transition from that highlight into the shadow side. But boy, those two are very different looking. It's like the background just disappears. So there's a look at a 70-inch silver interior. It's really a beautiful light, and it still stays pretty confined. It's on her face. It's not lighting our background very much. We do gain that one stop, but because of the size of it, it's starting to wrap around her face just a little more than the 40-inch, and certainly more than the 30-inch does. You start to see the light kind of coming around just a little bit into the shadow area a little more. That transition's a little softer, but still a very directional light. So unfortunately, I don't have a white interior 70-inch, but we're now going to go to shoot-through umbrellas, which is one of my favorite looks. Let's start out with a 30-inch shoot-through umbrella. So there's a look at the 30-inch shoot-through. You know, it combines the quality of the silver bounce and the white bounce because it's got the directionality of the silver bounce, but it's also got a more open light. It's lighting the background more like the white bounce did. So it's really interesting, but it does give us one stop more exposure like the silver did. So it's kind of a combination of those two. Interesting. So there's the 40-inch shoot-through. Again, it's combining the same qualities. It's got the harshness and the directionality of the silver, but it's got a throw that lights the background more like the white bounce did. So there's, again, those three combinations. Very interesting to look at those three and just see how they both react to the light. So there's the 70-inch shoot-through. You know, this again has got the same combination of qualities. I love the light on her face because it's just a beautiful transition. The light's back far enough that it's transitioning. I still have some shadows, so it looks very nice on her face, but it's just a softer transition because of the size of it. It's just because of the size. Softness is about just how large that light source is, and the smaller the source, the harder the light source becomes. So take a look at the shoot-through versus the bounce here, those two side by side. It's really interesting. I think the shoot-through is much softer. So there you have it. There's a look at the 30, the 40, and the 70-inch umbrellas with the different interiors and shoot-through. Take a look at those. See the ones that you like the most. But now I'm going to do a quick portrait here, just kind of showing how I would light, and I'm going to use that large shoot-through umbrella because I love the look. But I'm going to first take that umbrella and I'm going to move it around and aim it back towards the camera just a little bit. So there's that 70-inch shoot-through just slightly behind her. I love that look. You can see the beautiful transition to the front. It's just a beautiful light. The lights we have on the room here are not affecting this at all because I'm shooting at f11, so it's not, the ambient light in the room is not doing anything for us, but we just have a beautiful light on her face. It just wraps wonderfully around her face. So if the arm, the stick, the handle, that thing you grab a hold of in the middle, if that was longer, I could push that umbrella out further and I could fill the umbrella with more light. I'm going to try something here where I'm just going to have somebody hold the umbrella. I'm going to put the light back and just do a quick shot and just see what that looks like. Wow, the quality difference between those two is amazing. It's so much softer when you pull that light back, but that light is way off from the stick. It's being handheld right now, and the strobe is back there like a couple of feet. But it becomes a much softer source because it's filling that entire large 70-inch shoot-through umbrella. But I actually like it. The problem with that, though, is it also becomes much more out of control. The background becomes much brighter. So I like the what we had originally because it was a little more directional. Gave us a soft light on her face, but wasn't kind of all over the background as well. So there you have it. Look at umbrellas. Don't discredit them because everyone's gotten so crazy about softboxes. They really have a great place in your arsenal of lighting. It's a great way to modify light. It's an inexpensive way to modify light and can give you a soft and a beautiful light. So make sure you like us, follow us, subscribe, all those things on all of our platforms. Keep those cameras rolling and keep on clicking. Still recording, looking fine. Alley drop, alley test, success.